Chapter 1, The Council of Stars. The Galactic Concord Hall hummed with the low-frequency vibrations of 1,000 languages. Bioluminescent tendrils of the Vinner delegates flickered in agitation, while the armored carapaces of the Thulrak clacked like tectonic plates shifting. At the center of the cavernous chamber, beneath a holographic tapestry of the known universe, stood Ambassador Ilara Voss. Human. Unremarkable in a crowd of beings with iridescent scales, levitating appendages, and eyes that glowed like neutron stars, the Krillian horde advances, intoned Grand Overseer Xyrath, his voice a resonant boom that bypassed ears and vibrated directly in the skull. The serpentine alien towered over the assembly, his obsidian scales reflecting the cold light of strategic maps. They have consumed the Luton system. The Gax Collective's fleet. Annihilated in 6 solar rotations. Murmurs rippled through the hall. Ilara's translator implant buzzed as it parsed snippets of fear, unstoppable. No shields withstand their beams. Even the Thulrak's dreadnoughts. She stepped forward, her boots clicking against the crystalline floor. The Terran coalition offers assistance. The room fell silent. Xyratha's vertical pupils narrowed. Assistance. The word dripped with condescension. Your warships are relics. Your weapons, kinetic. Chemical propellants. A chorus of chittering laughter erupted from the insectoid Kasari delegation. Ilara's jaw tightened. They still see us as cave dwellers. She tapped her wrist pad. A hologram flickered to life, Earth, scarred but defiant after the rain of cinders a century prior. Cities rebuilt into vertical arcologies. Forests regrown from DNA vaults. We've survived extinction-level events before. We don't need your shields. We need time. Xyratha's tail lashed. Time is a luxury the Horde denies us. Their swarms move faster than light through quantum tunnels. They'll reach Concord Prime in days. Then let them come. The Thulrak ambassador, a hulking mass of chitin and muscle, ground his mandibles. Your bravado is amusing, fleshling. But your species has no stake here. Run back to your dirtball. Ilara's gaze didn't waver. Earth survivors learned 2 things, how to dig graves. And how to bury monsters. The Horde's no different. Before Xyrath could retort, alarms shrieked. The holographic starfield dissolved into tactical readouts, blinking red sigils at the edge of Concord space. Horde signatures detected in Sector Theta 9. A synthetic voice blared. Estimated arrival at Prime, 48 hours. Pandemonium. Vinner delegates dissolved into puddles of stress-induced mucus. Kasari scouts teleported away in bursts of gamma light. Xyrath roared for order, but the hall was already emptying. Ilara stood alone, staring at the advancing swarm on the hologram. She opened a secure channel. Admiral Carter. It's Voss. Light the beacons. A gravelly voice replied, they biting. Like piranhas. You've got 2 days. A dry chuckle. Hell, we've stormed beaches with less. Carter out. The line died. Ilara allowed herself a thin smile. Let the galaxy underestimate us. Right up until the trap snapped shut. The UNSS Dauntless hung in the void like a jagged piece of shrapnel frozen mid-explosion. Admiral Marcus Carter leaned back in his command chair, the leather creaking as he studied the tactical holodisplay. Human ships didn't glide on elegant anti-grav coils or shimmer with energy shields. They were ugly things, retrofitted asteroid miners, jury-rigged colony transports, and warships built from scavenged Horde wreckage after the First Contact massacre. But they had teeth. All task forces report ready, sir, said Lieutenant Cho, her fingers dancing across a console lit by cathode ray tubes. Carter smirked. The galaxy laughed at their primitive analog systems. Right up until they realized electromagnetic pulses didn't fry human tech. Deploy the Aeolus grid, Carter ordered, across the fleet, railgun batteries spun to life. Magnetic coils charged with the whine of 1,000 dentist drills. The Aeolus drones, nicknamed dustmakers, sprayed clouds of tungsten particles into the Lagrange points around Concorde Prime. To the Thulrak's thermal sensors, it would look like debris. To anything passing through at relativistic speeds, like throwing sand into a jet engine, Carter muttered. Ilara watched the council's panic crystallize into resignation. Xyritha's scales had dulled to charcoal. The Thulrak ambassador, Gorath, was methodically sharpening his scythe-like forelimbs on the chamber floor. "We should scatter the archives," a gelatinous CC diplomat bubbled. "Preserve our histories before what?" Ilara's voice cut through the gloom. She threw the hologram to full magnification. The Horde's vanguard, 1,000,000 fractal-shaped ships, poured into the system. "You think they'll let you run? They'll hunt every last." The first Horde vessel hit the Aeolus field. At 0.7 C, the tungsten particles might as well have been neutron stars. The ship crumpled like foil in a fusion flame. Then the next. And the next. A chain reaction of detonations lit the dark like firecrackers in a dead sky. Gorath froze mid-sharpen. "What sorcery is this?" "Physics," Ilara said. "No shields required." The Horde's advance faltered. Swarm tactics required perfect synchronization, and the surviving ships were now blind, their quantum comms scrambled by the dauntless makeshift EMP warheads. Carter watched a Thulrak dreadnought, sent to observe the battle, get swarmed by Horde drones. "Helm, ramming speed." "Sir." "You heard me." The dauntless engines flared. Crewmen grabbed handrails as the ship plowed through the Horde formation, its armored prow shearing through organic metal hulls. Carter grinned. "Human ships had mass, broadcast this to the council," he said. "Let 'em see how cavemen wage war." Xyritha's frill stood erect as the hologram showed the Dauntless emerge from the debris cloud, its hull scorched but intact. The Thulrak ambassador made a wet, choking sound, the equivalent of a gasp. "Your vessels." "They brawl," Gorath said, equal parts horrified and impressed. Ilara nodded. "You fight to preserve. We fight to survive. Different calculus." The overseer leaned down, his breath reeking of ammonia. "What else have you hidden, human?" Behind her, the hologram flickered. New signatures blinked into existence, not Horde, but blocky, angular. "Dozens of them, Admiral," Ilara whispered into her comm, "please tell me those are yours." Static. Then, negative. Repeat, negative. The unknown fleet opened fire, the unknown fleet's weapons fired in eerie silence. Beams of blacklight, a wavelength invisible to most species, sliced through the Thulrak dreadnought like it was smoke. No explosion. No debris. Just absence, report. Ilara barked into her comm, but the channel fizzed with interference. The hologram flickered, resolving into fragmented images, ships shaped like obsidian arrows, their hulls drinking in light. Xyritha's frill clamped flat against his skull. "The Varati," he hissed. "The Horde. They weren't invading. They were fleeing." Goratha's mandibles quivered. "Legends. Ghosts from the first cycle. They sterilized the Andromeda Fringe." Ilara grabbed the overseer's scaled arm. "How do we fight them?" "You don't," Xyrath snarled, pulling free. "Their weapons unravel molecular bonds. Their shields are event horizons. Even the Horde swarms." On the hologram, the Varati fleet advanced. The Dauntless banked hard, evading a blacklight beam that erased a chunk of its starboard armor. Admiral Carter's voice crackled through the council's speakers, "Voss. Whatever you're doing, undo it. These things are eating our missiles." Ilara turned to the panicking delegates. "We need combined forces. Thulrak dreadnoughts. Kasari teleport strikes." Vinner, a CC blob quivered. "Our ships are science vessels. We don't war. You do today." Elara slammed her palm on the central console, overriding the security protocols, a trick she'd learned from a Martian codejacker. The hologram zoomed in on the Varadi flagship, a jagged spire with a pulsing red core. That's their command node. We hit it with everything. Gorath clacked his forelimbs. Our plasma lances cannot pierce their shields. No, Elara said, grinning like a wolf. But we can. Aboard the Dauntless, Carter watched the tactical feed. Human fighters, barely more than titanium frames with engines, zipped through the Varadi formation. They didn't fire. Just danced, dodging blacklight beams by margins that made even veteran pilots queasy. Admiral Cho yelled. Incoming data packet from the Council hub. Carter opened it. A schematic. A virus. A suicide plan. Well, he muttered, ain't this a kick in the nukes? He switched to fleet-wide comms. All hands, we're flipping the board. Marines, suit up. We're going analog. The Varadi had no concept of boarding actions. Why send meatbags when you could disintegrate a ship from light years away? Their flagship's defenses scanned for energy weapons, antimatter warheads, AI hacking. Not for a dozen armored humans clinging to a gutted horde drone, engines off, coasting on inertia. Sergeant Malik Hellspawn Reyes counted down in his head. 3. 2. The drone slammed into the flagship's hull. Magnetic boots locked, breach charges ready, whispered Private Choi, her voice tinny over the squad's hardline. Burn pretty, Reyes said. The shaped charges detonated, a chemical explosion, primitive as gunpowder. The Varadi bulkhead melted. Inside, the ship wasn't empty. The air inside the Varadi flagship wasn't air. It was a viscous, amber fluid that clung to Sergeant Reyes' visor like liquid glass. The walls pulsed with vein-like cables, glowing faintly red. Private Choi gagged over the comms. Gosh, it stinks in here, she said. Like rotting honey. Quiet, Reyes hissed. His motion sensor flickered, shapes moving in the walls. Stay sharp. This whole ship's alive. They advanced, boots squelching. The corridor ahead branched into a spiraling ramp that seemed to shift when not stared at directly. Reyes signaled Choi to plant a motion-triggered claymore. Think they'll follow? She whispered, don't know. Don't want to find out. They reached a chamber ribbed with cartilage-like struts. At its center floated a sphere of black crystal, throbbing in time with the ship's heartbeat. Reyes pulled the data core from his pack, a chunky human-made virus, jury-rigged from code snippets stolen during the Horde's first contact massacre. Jackpot, he muttered. Set the charge. 5-minute fuse. A tentacle lashed from the ceiling. In the council chamber, Elara watched the Varadi fleet pivot. 3 of their ships broke formation, accelerating toward Concord Prime. Admiral. She shouted into the comm. Their flagships distracted, hit the others. Carter's voice crackled. Distracted? Lady, they're pissed. Dauntless is down to 40% hull. We need the Thulrax. A thunderous clack silenced the channel. Gorath loomed over Elara, his carapace still smoldering from the Varadi's blacklight graze. My fleet will engage, he growled. But your primitive virus. It will work. Elara glanced at the hologram. Reyes' biometrics flashed red, heart rate spiking. It better. Reyes' knife sawed through the tentacle, spraying acidic ichor. 2 more writhed from the walls. Choi unloaded her shotgun, the boom deafening in the enclosed space. Charge set. She yelled. Go, go, go. They sprinted back the way they'd come. The claymore detonated, shredding the pursuing tendrils. The corridor shuddered, flesh-like walls peeling back to reveal tooth-lined maws. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Reyes slapped a grenade into a maw. The explosion bought them 3 seconds. They reached the breach just as the data core's timer hit 0. The virus activated. On the bridge of the Dauntless, Carter watched the Varadi flagship convulse. Its obsidian hull cracked, vomiting tendrils of corrupted code, human malware unspooling in a language older than Earth. Now. Carter roared, every surviving ship fired. Not at the flagship, at the blacklight beams lancing toward them. The ordnance detonated early, flooding space with radiation and static. The Varadi's targeting system stuttered, Goratha's dreadnought struck. Plasma lances punched through weakened shields. Kasari teleport teams materialized inside Varadi engines, planting antimatter charges, and the Dauntless, half its hull gone, rammed the flagship's cracked core. The council chamber shook. Elara steadied herself as the hologram flared white. When it cleared, the Varadi fleet was gone. Scattered. Beaten, Zyrith stared at her, frill limp. You barbarians. You gambled everything. Elara wiped blood from her split lip. Barbarians win wars, Overseer. Diplomats just clean up afterward. Gorath clacked his mandibles in what might have been a laugh. Your species is interesting, human. We will watch you. Watch closely, Elara said. We're just getting started. Chapter 2, The Scars of Victory. The air in the council chamber tasted like burnt copper and regret. Elara leaned against the cracked console, her uniform streaked with soot and alien ichor. On the hologram, the surviving Terran ships limped toward Concord Prime's docking rings, the Dauntless listing like a drunkard, its starboard side peeled open to the void. Casualty reports, Zyrith intoned, his voice stripped of its earlier arrogance. A Thulrak medtech applied biofoam to the Overseer's lacerated flank, the treatment sizzling against his scales. Elara scrolled through her wrist pad. 32 Terran vessels destroyed. 487 confirmed dead. Twice that wounded. She paused. And yours? The Overseer's frill twitched. Irrelevant. The Varadi are routed. That is sufficient. Sufficient? Elara's laugh was a sharp, broken thing. They'll be back. You know that, right? Whatever scared the Horde into our laps isn't gone. It's regrouping. Before Zyrith could reply, the chamber doors hissed open. A human medic rushed in, trailing a gurney. Sergeant Reyes lay on it, his armor fused to his skin in patches. A shard of black crystal protruded from his shoulder, a fragment of the Varadi flagship's core. Ambassador. The medic yelled. We need a biocontainment unit, now. This thing's emitting radiation we've never. The shard pulsed. Reyes's vitals spiked, his back arching off the gurney. Zyrith recoiled. Get that abomination out of here. Elara blocked the medic's path. What's wrong with him? The crystal. It's growing, the medic said. Rewriting his DNA. His cells are. I don't know, talking to it. Gorath loomed over the gurney, his faceted eyes reflecting the shard's malevolent glow. This is Varadi biotech. A weapon. You must incinerate him. Elara drew her sidearm, a compact coil gun, illegal in most sectors. Touch him, and I'll show you how humans handle weapons. The Thulrak's mandibles spread in a threat display. Sentimentality is a weakness, human. This one is already dead. Reyes's hand shot up, clamping Goratha's wrist. His eyes were open, pupils dilated, veins blackened. Buddy, he rasped, I've died 6 times. 7th's a charm. The shard flared, and Gorath jerked back with a hiss, enough. Zyrith slammed his tail, fracturing the floor. Take your infected and go. Ambassador. But know this, if that shard breaches containment, your species will answer for it. Elara holstered her gun. Noted. As the medics wheeled Reyes away, she caught a glimpse of the shard's surface. For a moment, it wasn't black. It was translucent, and something moved inside, something alive. Aboard the UNSS Dauntless, Admiral Carter stared at the hole in his ship. The breach yawned open to stars, held back only by a shimmering emergency membrane. Crewmen in patched pressure suits welded support beams, their torches casting jagged shadows. Admiral. Lieutenant Cho approached, clutching a datapad. The Varadi wreckage. We've found something. Carter didn't turn. If it's another cursed crystal, jettison it. Not a crystal. She offered the pad. A signal. Buried in their comms debris. It's old, sir. Older than the Horde. Older than the Concord. The screen showed a waveform, a looping pulse that made Carter's teeth ache. Origin. Cho hesitated. Earth. Admiral Carter's grip tightened on the datapad. The waveform pulsed like a heartbeat, its frequency resonating with a primal dread he hadn't felt since the Rain of Cinders. Earth. The word hung in the air, heavy with implications. How old? He asked, his voice barely audible over the creak of the Dauntless' strained hull. Lieutenant Cho zoomed in on the data. Best estimate? 20,000 years. Buried in the Varadi systems like a footnote. They must have encountered it long before the Horde existed. Carter's mind raced. Humanity had barely clawed its way to the stars 3 centuries ago. What could have left a signal that predated the Concord itself? Any idea what it's saying? Not yet. The AI decryption suites are fried, and the analog teams are swamped. But. Cho hesitated. The carrier wave matches the Varadi's blacklight frequency. Of course it does. Carter tossed the pad onto a nearby console. Prep a recon squad. We're taking a shuttle to the source. Cho blinked. Sir, the Dauntless can't jump. Engines are scrap, and the Council's denying us a tow. Then we'll borrow a Thulrak cruiser. Carter smirked at her horrified expression. Relax, Lieutenant. Diplomacy's Ambassador Voss's job. Mine's to make sure humanity survives the next hour. Concord Prime Med Bay. The containment chamber reeked of ozone and antiseptic. Reyes thrashed against the restraints, the black shard in his shoulder now the size of a rifle cartridge. Sweat dripped from his brow, sizzling where it struck the crystal, heart rate at 220. A medic shouted. Neural activity off the charts. Elara watched through the reinforced glass, her reflection fractured by the biohazard warnings. Can you sedate him? We tried, the medic said. His metabolism's burning through drugs like kindling. Whatever that shard's doing, it's rewriting him fast. Goritha's voice rumbled behind her. You should have killed him. Elara didn't turn. And you should have stayed in the council chamber. The Thulrak ambassador stepped closer, his shadow engulfing her. The Varadi seed their enemies. Turn them into husks. That thing he's becoming. It will slaughter your crew. On the other side of the glass, Reyes went still. His head lolled, revealing eyes now fully black, no scara, no iris. Just voids, maybe, Elara said softly. But he's still ours. And we don't abandon our own. Goritha's mandibles twitched. Sentiment. No. Strategy. She finally faced him. That shard's a weapon, right? Let's study it. Turn it against the Varadi. Before he could retort, alarms blared. The medbay lights shifted to blood red, breach in Sector 7. A voice announced. Unknown life form detected. Reyes's restraint snapped. Admiral Carter stood in the ship's opulent war room, flanked by 2 Thulrak warriors with plasma pikes. Their captain, a scarred veteran named Vec, circled him like a shark. You ask for passage? Vec hissed. After your stunt with the Varadi? The overseer wants your head on a pike. Carter shrugged. Tell him to get in line. But right now, I need to reach these coordinates. He slid a data chip across the obsidian table. Vec plugged it into his wrist. A star map flickered, a remote system on the galaxy's edge. The dead zone. Nothing exists there but rogue planets and stellar ash. Something does, Carter said. And it's calling us. The Thulrak captain leaned in, his breath reeking of sulfur. Why should I care? Because the Varati are hunting it too. And whoever finds it first. Carter grinned. Wins the war. Vec stared. Then barked a laugh sharp enough to cut steel. You humans are either geniuses or lunatics. Historically. Both. Reyes moved like liquid shadow. Medics dove for cover as he slammed into the containment glass, once, twice, crack. Elara drew her coil gun. Stand down, Sergeant. He paused, head tilting at an unnatural angle. When he spoke, his voice was layered, a chorus of whispers beneath his own. We see you, Elara Voss. We see your fragility. Gorath raised his plasma lance. Step aside, human. No. She aimed at the cracked glass. Reyes. Fight it. The thing inside him smiled. Then the wall exploded, Reyes's body contorted, tendons snapping and reforming as the Varati shard pulsed. Elara fired her coil gun, a hypersonic round meant to stun, not kill. It cratered the wall where he'd stood half a second earlier. Pathetic, the thing inside him hissed. It vaulted over Goratha's plasma lance, tendrils of black energy lashing out. The Thulrak roared as his armor sizzled, molten rivulets dripping to the floor. Elara ducked behind a med table. Reyes. Remember Mars. Remember the taquitos you stole from the mess hall. A flicker. His head jerked, pupils dilating to human proportions for a heartbeat. Ambassador. Run, the shard flared, tendrils spearing toward her. Gorath tackled Elara aside, his carapace taking the hit. Your sentiment will get us killed. And your cynicism will get us slaughtered. She rolled free, slamming a palm on the medbay's emergency purge. Hissing vents flooded the room with cryogenic gas, the Varati entity staggered, frost crystallizing on its obsidian shell. For a moment, Reyes's face surfaced, terrified, pleading, now. Elara yelled. Gorath impaled Reyes's leg with his lance, pinning him long enough for containment drones to clamp down. The entity shrieked, thrashing as the chamber sealed. Elara slumped against the wall. Reyes's human eye locked onto hers. Kill me. Not today, Sergeant, she whispered. The Thulrak cruiser shuddered as Varati blacklight scored its shields. Admiral Carter clung to a console, watching Lieutenant Cho's fingers fly across analog dials. They're hurting us. Vex snarled. Your coordinates led us into a trap. Or a test, Carter said. He nodded to Cho. Do it. She flipped a switch, rerouting power from life support to the comm array. A screeching harmonic filled the bridge, the ancient signal amplified and fed back through the Varati's own frequency. The enemy ships froze. Their shields are down. Cho cried. Vec didn't hesitate. Fire all lances. Plasma tore through the Varati formation. Carter watched, grim. We're using their own song against them. What does that mean? The derelict station hung in the void, its architecture a blend of Varati organic curves and human brutalist angles. Carter's breath fogged his helmet. This isn't possible. Cho scanned the symbols etched into the airlock. Sir, these markings, they're Proto-Indo-European. Pre-collapse. Prehistory. Vec bristled. Your ancestors built this. No, Carter said, running a glove over a mural, humans and Varati locked in battle, a third race overseeing them. But someone wanted us to find it. A shadow moved inside the station. Alive, the station's airlock groaned open, revealing corridors choked with vines of crystalline wiring. Admiral Carter stepped inside, his helmet lamps casting jagged shadows. The walls breathed, contracting, expanding, as if the structure itself were alive, life signs. he asked, pulse rifle raised. Lieutenant Cho scanned the area. None. But the radiation profile matches the Varadi shard in Sergeant Reyes. Vec lumbered behind them, his plasma lance carving scars into the organic metal. This place reeks of deception. Your ancestors were collaborators. Or lab rats, Carter muttered, pausing at a mural. The third race depicted, tall, ethereal, with too many eyes, held a device that mirrored the shard in Reyes's shoulder. Cho, get a sample of these growths. If the Varadi fear this signal, maybe we can weaponize. A shadow darted, Carter spun, firing. The pulse round disintegrated a cluster of vines, revealing a hollow chamber. At its center stood a pedestal, and on it, a human skull, not just human. Modern, Cho gasped. DNA scan confirms it's post-21st century. But this station is ancient. Vec hissed. Time means nothing to the Varadi. They fold it. Break it. Your kind may have been there. Playthings long before you reached the stars. Carter's calm crackled. Admiral. It was Alara, voice strained. Reyes is seizing. The shard, it's reacting to something. In the background, Reyes screamed, a sound no human throat should make. Alara gripped Reyes's hand as convulsions racked his body. The shard had spread, its obsidian veins crawling up his neck. Biocontainment alarms wailed, Ambassador, we need to amputate. A medic urged, you'd have to remove his spine, Alara snapped. Gorath. Your people have neural tech. Help him. The Thulrak ambassador watched coldly. This is your doing. Your weakness. Reyes's free hand shot up, clamping Gorath's wrist. Black energy surged, and the Thulrak's armor cracked. You will obey. Reyes's voice boomed, deeper than the void. Gorath snarled, but his limbs locked. Against his will, he began interfacing with the medbay systems. What is this sorcery? Not sorcery. Alara realized. The shard, it's overriding his motor functions. Using him. Reyes's human eye met hers, desperate. The station. It's a cage. Let me die before. The shard pulsed. His back arched, and a hologram erupted from his chest, a star map, identical to the one in Carter's derelict station. Coordinates, Alara whispered. Admiral. The shard's transmitting a location. It's, Reyes's scream drowned her out. Carter stared at the skull. Cho, cross-referenced this with the Reign of Cinder's archives. Her hands trembled. It's a match, sir. This person died in 2137. During the Mumbai evacuation. Which was 200 years after this station was supposedly built, Carter said. Vec. Your people have legends about time manipulation. Is this possible? The Thulrak captain's frill twitched. The Varadi consume timelines. They seed wars across epochs, feeding on chaos. This station. It may be a harvesting ground. A low hum filled the chamber. The skull's jaw unhinged, and a beam of black light struck Carter's chest plate. Admiral. Cho lunged, but the light dissolved her. Vec roared, firing his lance at the pedestal. The station shuddered. Walls bled. And Carter's mind flooded with visions, Earth burning in 1,000 wars. Varadi ships descending like locusts. And the third race, watching, laughing, from the dark between galaxies. Admiral Carter's vision fractured. One moment, he stood in the derelict station, the skull's blacklight searing his mind. The next, he was back aboard the Dauntless, Lieutenant Cho alive and whole, her hands steady on the console. Admiral? She asked. Did you hear me? The signal's origin is Earth. He stared. The station. The skull. The visions, they were real. Cho, check the date. April 12, 2523, she said, oblivious, the same day we fought the Varati. Carter gripped his chair. Time loop. The station's pulling me through iterations, divert all power to the comm array, he ordered. Rebroadcast the signal at maximum gain. But the Varati will, now, Lieutenant. The Dauntless shuddered. The signal erupted, a primal scream across frequencies. Varati ships writhed like scorched insects, their black light beams scattering harmlessly, they're retreating. Cho cried. Carter didn't celebrate. He'd seen this before. In another loop. In another war, Reyes's body hovered in zero-G containment, the shard now encasing half his torso. Elara floated beside him, her reflection warped in the crystal's surface. The shard isn't killing him, she said. It's evolving him. Goreth anchored himself to the floor, his plasma lance dented from their earlier skirmish. Into what? A bridge. Between us and the Varati. She pressed a palm to the glass. He's seeing their networks. Their history. Reyes's remaining eye snapped open. They're farmers, he rasped. Planting wars. Harvesting timelines. The third race, the Ziwaenvra, they're the architects. We're just crops. Elara's calm buzzed. Carter's voice, strained, Voss. The station's a time engine. The Varati are just middlemen. The real enemies pulling their strings. Goretha's mandibles quivered. This Ziwaenvra. How do we fight them? Reyes smiled, teeth sharpening. You don't. I do. The shard shattered the containment field. Carter materialized mid-stride, the skull's empty sockets tracking him. This time, he didn't hesitate. He grabbed the skull, ignoring the black light scalding his gloves. Show me, he growled. Visions detonated. 2145, a Varati scout unearths a human corpse on Mars, implants the first shard. 3021, the Ziwaenvra watch Earth burn, feasting on the timeline's collapse. A looped moment. Elara, older, leading a fleet of half-Varati hybrids. Carter reeled. No. This isn't inevitable, he smashed the skull. The station screamed, Vex cruiser banked hard, dodging Varati reinforcements. Your admiral is insane. He roared. Lieutenant Cho, alive again in this loop, tuned the comm array. He's buying us time. The signal's disrupting their cohesion. A Varati flagship emerged, its hull studded with shards. Vec froze. That vessel. It's consuming reality. Space itself peeled around the ship, revealing a fractal abyss. Cho's hands flew. The signal's origin is inside it. If we amplify, do it. The Kulnatha's engines surged. The signal, a 20,000-year-old SOS, pierced the flagship's core. For a heartbeat, the Varati ship flickered. Human faces pressed against its hull, screaming. Reyes tore through the Varati drone's swarming Concord Prime, his shard blade carving event horizons. Elara and Goreth pursued, dodging debris. He's heading for the council chamber. Goreth barked. No, Elara said. He's heading for Xyrith. The Overseer's private hangar. A sleek ship, prepped for escape, Xyrith turned as Reyes landed, his hybrid form radiating menace. You, silence, Reyes hissed. The shard pulsed, and Xyrith crumpled, clutching his skull. You knew about the Ziwaenvra. You fed them worlds. Elara aimed her coil gun. Reyes. Stand down. He looked at her, the human in him clawing through. They're coming, Elara. The real war. Tell Carter. Burn the harvest. Then he leapt into Xyrith's ship, tearing a quantum tunnel, toward the Ziwaenvra. Chapter 3, The Seeds of Rebellion. Reyes's hands trembled on the stolen ship's controls. The quantum tunnel ahead pulsed like an infected wound, its edges fraying into static. The shard in his shoulder hummed, whispering directives in a language that bypassed his ears and bored directly into his brainstem. The Zynvra wait, it crooned. You will be their herald. Their instrument. He slammed his fist against the console. I'm nobody's instrument. The shard retaliated. Agony lanced through his nervous system, and the ship veered into the tunnel's maw. Stars stretched into streaks, then dissolved into the between, a realm of swirling fractals and half-formed realities. Reyes glimpsed Earth burning in a dozen different eras. Each flame nourishing shadowy figures that watched from the void. You see now, the shard murmured. The harvest is eternal. Resistance is overrated, Reyes finished, baring teeth that had grown too sharp. He punched coordinates into the NAV system, not caring where they led. If the Zynvra wanted a herald, he'd give them a wildfire. Time loop 17, Admiral Carter died again. The Varadi flagship's black light beam atomized the Dauntless, and he awoke back in the derelict station, clutching the skull. This time, he didn't flinch. Show me the weak point, he demanded. The visions came faster, a Zynvra overseer, its many-eyed visage looming over Earth's pyramids, Varadi drones, burying shards in prehistoric human skulls, a single frequency, resonating through every harvested timeline. Carter grinned. Got you. He smashed the skull and charged into the station's heart, where the walls bled chronoton particles. Lieutenant Cho's voice echoed from a past loop, the signal's a key. He found the source, a blacklight generator fused with human DNA. Cho, if you can hear me, he said, knowing she couldn't, I'm gonna need one hell of a eulogy. He rewired the generator into a bomb. Ilara faced the surviving delegates in a chamber still reeking of burnt insulation. Gorath stood at her flank, his carapace freshly polished. A Thulrak honor guard, not prison escorts. Progress, the Zynvra manipulate time itself, she declared. They've been farming your wars, your tragedies. The Varadi are just there. Gardeners. CC delegates quivered in their nutrient tanks. What proof have you? Gorath slammed a hologram projector. Footage from Reyes's shard played, Zynvra ships harvesting energy from the Battle of Sector Theta 9. Proof enough. The Kasari ambassador, a scarred veteran missing 2 limbs, buzzed angrily. Our teleport grids failed that day. You claim these ghosts caused it? Yes, Ilara said. And they'll do worse unless we unite. The Terran coalition proposes an alliance, Thulrak warships, Kasari strike teams, Vinner sensor nets. We hit the Zynvra's infrastructure, their timeline anchors. Xyrath, newly reinstated as overseer, coiled his massive frame. And what of the Varadi? They swarm unchecked. Ilara's wristpad pinged. A familiar signature blinked on the tactical map, Reyes's ship, careening toward a Zynvra anchor point. She smiled. We have a scout in their ranks. Reyes's ship tore into reality near a Zynvra anchor, a pulsar trapped mid-supernova, its energy siphoned into the void. Dozens of Varadi harvesters orbited the star, implanting shards into the fabric of spacetime. You cannot interfere, the shard warned, watch me. Reyes opened fire, his shard cannon blasts ripped through Varadi hulls, the weaponized blacklight turning their own tech against them. Harvesters exploded in chain reactions, their screams harmonizing with the shard's fury in his mind. A Zynvra overseer materialized before his cockpit, a towering figure with iridescent skin and eyes like collapsed stars. Little hybrid, it crooned, voice vibrating across dimensions. You amuse us. Join the harvest, and we will spare your pet species, Reyes laughed. Funny. I was gonna offer you the same deal. He detonated the ship's core, the detonation of Reyes's ship rippled across dimensions. The Zynvra anchor point imploded, fracturing the pulsar's stolen energy into a kaleidoscope of dying timelines. Reality itself recoiled, Earths that never knew war flickered into being and dissolved, Martian colonies thrived in one heartbeat and crumbled to dust in the next. The Varadi harvesters, caught in the blast, unraveled like thread pulled from a tapestry, their screams echoing across eras. In the maelstrom, Reyes's consciousness fragmented. The shard in his shoulder thrummed, stitching his mind back together with filaments of void-black energy. When he opened his eyes, he floated in the cosmic debris, his body rebuilt into something sharper, hungrier. The Zynvra overseer's voice boomed around him, but now it carried a tremor. You dare. Reyes flexed new claws, the shard's power humming in his veins. I'm just getting started. Time loop 23, Admiral Carter stood in the derelict station's heart, the blacklight bomb clutched to his chest. This time, he didn't wait for visions. He ran, Cho. He shouted into the void, knowing she couldn't hear. When the loop resets, boost the signal's frequency by 12.7%. Overload their anchors. He slammed the bomb into the generator. The station convulsed, timelines snapping like guitar strings. Carter grinned as the Zynvra's screams followed him into the next loop. Concord Prime, Alliance Fleet, the Thulrak Dreadnought Worldbreaker hung alongside Kasari teleport carriers and Terran stealth frigates. Ilara stood on the bridge, Gorath at her side, as holograms of allied commanders flickered to life. Anchor coordinates confirmed, she said. Hit them hard and fast. The Zynvra won't expect a counter-harvest. Goratha's mandibles clacked. The Varadi? Distracted. Ilara nodded to the tactical map, where Reyes's new signature blazed through Zynvra formations like a comet. Move out. The Kasari vanished first, their ships teleporting in bursts of gamma light. Thulrak plasma lances tore through the void, and human railguns launched EMP warheads wrapped in shard fragments. The Zynvra anchor points burned. The between, Reyes tore through a Zynvra harvest fleet, his shard blade drinking their darkness. He was a storm, a reckoning, and the Varadi followed, a dozen horde drones, their shards corrupted by his resonance, turned on their masters. Reyes laughed, wild and unhinged. That's it. Riot. The Zynvra overseer reappeared, its form flickering. You cannot win. We are infinite, yeah. Reyes grabbed a Varadi harvester and hurled it into the overseer. But I'm annoying. Time loop 42, Carter's bomb detonated in perfect sync with Reyes's rampage. The shockwave shattered the Zynvra's temporal grip, collapsing their anchors into singularities. The Admiral awoke one last time, back on the Dauntless, Cho alive, the Varadi fleet recoiling. Now. Carter ordered. Lieutenant Cho amplified the signal. The ancient SOS became a screeching crescendo. Varadi ships ruptured like overripe fruit, vomiting timelines they'd stolen. Freed warships from 100 extinct species blinked into existence, confused but vengeful. The Zynvra retreated, their howls shaking stars. 1 month later, Ilara found Reyes in the ruins of Concord Prime's medbay. His human half was barely recognizable, the shard now a crystalline exoskeleton. You look like hell, she said. He grinned, teeth like shattered obsidian. You should see the other guys. Outside, the Alliance rebuilt. Thulrak engineers worked alongside Kasari scouts, while human engineers jury-rigged Zynvra tech into shields. What now? Reyes asked. Ilara handed him a data chip. New coordinates. The Zynvra left breadcrumbs. We follow. He took it, the shard purring. Always knew you'd make a decent warlord. Diplomat, she corrected, same thing. As they walked into the hangar, a hologram flickered, a Zynvra message, repeating, you have won a battle. The harvest is eternal. Reyes crushed the projector. Talkative bastards, aren't they? The war wasn't over, but humanity wasn't alone.